There is a hearty welcome to all graceful personalities present here. Now I request our chief guest for the function today, Mr. Gautam More, and our guest speaker for this session, Dr. Swati Rahane, to come on stage. It's our great honor to have Mr. Gautam More as the chief guest for the function. Mr. Gautam More is engineer by profession. He is director of Trans Vitals Private Limited. He has been an innovator and entrepreneur since 22 years. He created India's first handheld wireless ECG machine called LifePlot Unique in 2010. Since then, he has built a deep expertise in remote monitoring of patients at home and helping doctors practice true telemedicine. With Trans Vitals, Mr. Gautam aims to bring medical grade wearables to the developing world through a unique mix of legal engineering and business model innovation. Mr. Gautam is the first generation entrepreneur and helps multiple Indian startups in charting their medtech journey. We welcome you, sir. Now I request Dr. Prashant Duraphe, promoter of ChronoPrakriti Pvt Limited, to felicitate him. We are fortunate today to have Vaidya Swati Rahane as our guest speaker for this function. Vaidya Swati has done her MD Ayurved from Gujarat Ayurved University. She has done diploma in Ayurvedic dietetics from Timavi, Pune. She is certified yoga and wellness instructor of Ayush Department of Government of India. She has done diploma course in medical yoga therapy and certificate course in music therapy. She has more than 20 years of clinical experience in the field of yoga therapies, Ayurveda, and Panchakarma. Her specialization is in medical yoga therapies and she conducts personalized sessions as per health requirements. She is also engaged in designing, conducting yoga and wellness sessions for corporates. She is focused and working on improving physical and mental health by following Ayurvedic and yogic lifestyle principles. We welcome you, madam. Now I request Dr. Prashant Duraphe, promoters of ChronoPrakriti Pvt Limited, to felicitate Vaidya Swati as a token of our appreciation. Again, I welcome you all for this website launch program of ChronoPrakriti Pvt Limited. Before moving forward towards our subject matter, here is an interesting question for you all. आपने उंगली पे कौन नचाता है? Do you know this? A small note for gentlemen who are accompanying their wives along with them and present in this auditorium that they need not answer this question. Okay, let's make a small change in this question. In this past era, not only आपको but हम सबको कौन अपने उंगली पे नचाता है? Do you know that? So let's take one recent example. My dear friend Raju was traveling to Delhi for one meeting. He caught the flight at sharp 9:57 a.m. He attended the meeting there at 1:30 p.m., which was stretched till his scheduled departure. He started his return journey in the evening and returned on the same day, maybe around 9:30 p.m. and rushed from airport directly to attend college reunion party venue, which he don't want to miss, though he knew that next morning was awaiting for him again with a zigzag schedule. Yes, you are right. इस भागदौड़ के जिंदगी में द क्लॉक, द टाइम, द घड़ी है जो हम सबको उसके उंगली पे नचाती है, बिकॉज वी आर टोटली कन्विंस्ड दैट थकना मना है, वी नीड टू गो ऑन. So one is gaining all material pleasures running like this. Of course, these are the important achievements which is raising one's standard of living. However, are we thinking about quality of our life? Let's go back to my dear friend Raju. He caught the flight around 10 in the morning, at which time his body was demanding breakfast. He was continuously busy in the meeting with sips of tea and snacks, when in fact, his body is in need of full meal. And at the time when the beautiful sleep was wishing to embrace him, he was trying to keep himself awake, dancing and enjoying the party. Is something wrong going herein? Along with gaining the material pleasures, living like Raju, we are also receiving complementary gifts in the form of many disorders causing various diseases. For we are carrying our lives, keeping a sharp eye on the time which is seen on the clock on the walls and watches on our wrists. Even many a time, willingly or unwillingly, ignoring or disrespecting the watch which is very much there inside our body, fitted by nature or Prakriti. Sounds something interesting, no? So let's have a look at these videos which explains concept of body clock in human beings and also how it works in birds and animals. I request you to please sit in front.
A breakthrough that has a far-reaching impact, from boosting grades to even fighting cancer. The answer lies in decoding these facts. Heart attacks are likely to happen early mornings. More Olympic records are broken in the afternoon. Even my asthma peaks at dawn. Are we just puppets in the unseen hand of time? Welcome to the magic of circadian rhythm, our body clocks. They regulate all functions like alertness, strength, cell repair, and dictate the best time for any activity. Our chronotype controls our sleep-wake time. For example, larks wake up and sleep early, and owls wake up and sleep late. Most teenagers are owls, but school timings match larks. Hence, starting school an hour later has shown to improve grades. The master clock is a cluster of cells called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN. It gets reset by light. Organs have clocks of their own. SCN is like their orchestra conductor. When they play in sync, it's perfect symphony. But each time we have a late night meal, unexpected food messes up the liver's rhythm. Too much gadget light or too less daylight. Cacophony reigns. And with jet lag, say hello to absolute mayhem. Long-term circadian dysfunction is disastrous, leading to obesity, diabetes, and dementia. Circadian rhythm is regulated by genes called purr and cry. Action starts with proteins B1 and clock. They are key to activating purr and cry genes. mRNA moves to ribosomes where purr cry proteins are made. The kinase protein degrades purr cry, but they gain immunity by pairing up. They enter the nucleus and inhibit BMAL and clock. This stops mRNA production, hence no new purr cry are made. The last of purr cry decay, freeing up BMAL and clock to activate purr cry genes again. This negative feedback loop of purr and cry activation and inhibition powers the 24-hour clock.
Bullseye!
Timing is everything. Even a child gets it.
Hey, I'm not a child.
Diseases also have their own circadian cycles. My grandma's arthritis flares up in the evening. Even cancer cells wax or wane through the day. That's why chemo given at the right time has shown to save lives. Bottom line, every prescription must come with a time of day stamp. Here is the breakthrough. I call it the law of 3T. Know your chronotype, lark, owl, and so on. Identify the kind of task, analytical, creative, and so forth, and match with time. There you go. Peak performance guaranteed. Thank you for watching. My name is Samay, and in Sanskrit it means time.
Hello. Today let's look at a few winged wonders from across the globe. Everybody wakes up to the chirping of bird songs in the morning. But how do they know that it's time to start the day? Diurnal birds, that is, birds that are awake during the day and asleep at night, have their body clock synced with the rising of the sun. To avoid any confusion, the clocks of the neighboring species of diurnal birds are also synced. Thus, when one bird starts chirping at sunrise to announce its territory, the others get to know and join in. Just as they have a pattern for every 24 hours, every season brings about a change in their behavior. Hormonal changes as well as changes in their surroundings let birds and animals know that the season has changed. An easily noticeable change in them is the change in their color. Animals like the Arctic fox change their coat as their surroundings change. White in winter to match the ice, brown in summer to match the rocks. Birds, like this fire-tailed sunbird, also change plumage, especially when it's the breeding season. Male birds grow brighter feathers to attract females during this season. Another fascinating and mysterious wonder of birds is migration. Without any technology, how can they tell when it's time to move on? In winter, birds detect the change in temperatures and the shortening of days. The pituitary gland sends out signals in the form of hormonal changes that stimulate migration. For example, this Arctic tern migrates all the way from the North Pole to the South Pole and back every year. Birds move to warmer places in search of food and come back when it starts getting hotter. But how do they know where to go? Some birds can identify directions by sensing changes in the Earth's magnetic field. Using this as a compass, they fly to the same location every year. Some form a mind map of their journey, noting landmarks such as mountains, rivers, and landscapes to navigate. Yet others use the position of the sun and stars to find their location. Some birds, like the rosy starlings, gather every evening in huge groups, fly about for a while, and go to bed. This behavior, noticed especially when birds are in their migration grounds, is to ward off any predators. The birds and animals that don't migrate hibernate to escape the cold. When they sense the onslaught of winter, their clock gets set to 0. This is controlled by the hypothalamus of their brain. During hibernation, their heartbeats per minute slow down, in turn lowering their metabolic rate considerably to conserve energy. But how do they live without eating? Hibernators use their body fat to achieve this. The energy requirement of a hibernating animal is so low that the body fat, which wouldn't last it for about a week in its waking state, can be used for about 6 months in the hibernating state. After a certain number of days has passed, the animal gets signals from the body to wake up and start the routine of another year and another season. Thank you.
From these both videos, it is clear that time is the most precious thing and it impacts a lot on our lives. In recent times, since 2020, at the backdrop of COVID 19 and all its variants, we all are more aware and concerned about our health and lifestyle. Due to change in working pattern, work from home, online schooling, restriction on gatherings and movements, we have come across physical, emotional, and social shift. We all feel that it's right time to focus on our health and well-being than anything else. Likewise, promoters of ChronoPrakriti feels that they should step in. It's the right time to support and guide people for their good health and well-being by carrying research on the subject matter and conducting workshops and provide consultation on the subject matter. Let's know something about creation of ChronoPrakriti and what does it really means with perspective from the view of promoters. ChronoPrakriti is a coin word used for chronobiology and Prakriti. Chronobiology is the study of biological rhythms. It examines the effect of time on biological events and internal biological clocks. Prakriti is a Sanskrit word which means original or natural form of any subject matter, substance. Human mind and brain both are evolved mechanism and much more manipulative. Hence, it will not be enough to tackle it only at physical level, but need more holistic approach. Combining the concepts in chronobiology and Ayurveda, promoters are proposing a novel typological method of human population called ChronoPrakriti. The lifestyle management will be more effective and sustainable if someone suggests the recommendations based on individual ChronoPrakriti. ChronoPrakriti is a recently formed private limited company under the Companies Act 2013 and a government recognized startup in the field of health and wellness. I would now request promoters of ChronoPrakriti to come on stage. Dr. Prashant Duraphe, Mr. Samir Duraphe, CA Rohit Tikhe. खाणं बाहेरचं कमी झालंय का? आवाज काहीच आला नाही करत. Dr. Prashant Duraphe is who is driving force behind creation of ChronoPrakriti. He is PhD in cell biology from Würzburg University, Germany in 2010. He started working in the field of chronobiology since 15 years. He is life member of Indian Society of Chronobiology. He started Institute of Chronobiology Education and Research in 2016. He is actively involved in education and research in chronobiology. His interest area is working on the interface of modern medicine and Ayurveda and conceptualizing new concept of ChronoPrakriti for effective management and lifestyle disorders. Second promoter of ChronoPrakriti is Mr. Samir Duraphe. He is an architect and partner in the firm known as Sama Landscape Architects since its inception. Sama was founded in 2005 and engaged in offering specialized services in landscape design. Sama has been working on landscape projects of varied scales and typologies in many parts of the country. Third promoter in ChronoPrakriti is CA Rohit Tikhe. He is member of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, Institute of Company Secretaries of India, Institute of Cost Accountants of India. He has rich corporate experience for more than 15 years. He was working as general manager with Maersk, a well-known shipping company, and since 2019, he has started his own consultancy services through one LLP named as Corpigal Convisors LLP. Now I request Dr. Prashant Duraphe to enlighten us on concept of chronobiology.
Thank you, Amrita, for giving overview of the company and also the promoters of company. I welcome you all for this academy, and as the subject matter is clear to you that we are going to discuss about our internal clock. The clock that we have on our wrist, that is very much important, and we are unaware about the clock that we have inside the body. So chronobiology is about our internal clock and how it works. So let us understand first what is chronobiology briefly, and then we'll understand about the Prakriti, and then we will come to know why this Chronoprakriti, that is chronotype and Prakriti type, what is the relevance of combining these two together. So I will just guide you briefly about what is chronobiology. So in this presentation I am going to just give you idea about what is biological clock and what is chronobiology. So I started this institute called Institute of Chronobiology Education and Research for research and education in the field of chronobiology, and recently we have accepted this ChronoPrakriti Pvt Limited as a professional entity. So first question of the first part of this term, chronobiology. The first part is chronos. Chronos is Latin, means time. So why time matters to us? Why only matters to humans and why not to other organisms? This is very clear that all other organisms, all other living beings, they live in presence. They have no past and future. But for humans, we are conscious of time. We know that there is some kind of past and we always think about the future. And that is the reason that this consciousness of time creates a lot of problems. And that's why time matters to us and we have to think about time. That is saying in Sanskrit called Kalaya Tasmai Namaha, Kal Sarvavansa Uttaraya Savanvato. So that's because the time is the most unknown thing for even for the science as well as the philosophy. So it is mentioned in our scripts as well that Kalo hi Duratikramaha. So what is this Kal and what is this time? In physical sciences like physics or chemistry, it is clearly discussed, but in the biological systems it is intrinsic and it was not clearly studied beforehand. So these three kinds of clocks that we all are discriminate, that one clock we know that is always on the wall or on our wrist. Second clock is about the social commitments, we can say our social clock. We are also bound by our social clock, lot of social commitments. We are a social organism, so we have to commit to the people around us, and that also somehow regulates or control our schedule. And the third one in center, that is a biological clock, and that biological clock is set in our system, and what is the reason for that existence of that clock is the science of chronobiology. So we all know that there is a time to do everything, but why? Why there is a time to do everything? Because nature always play very safe and nature play very optimally. So whatever is happening in our body, it always optimal, and that's why all our systems in body works optimally, that is governed by our internal clock. So as we have seen in the video that in nature, whether it is plant or organisms, everything has a natural rhythm and everybody has the endogenous rhythmicity, and we experience that lack of rhythmicity when we travel across the time zones. That is term is called jet lag. So why we are concerned about biological clock? Because of our lifestyle. Our lifestyle is in such a way right now that previously there was no need to give a thought on this biological clock because it was but natural. There is no artificial light, there is no processed food. We just go to bed on time, wake up and do our things. But our lifestyle now is totally changed because of the technology, as mentioned in the introductory speech. And because of that, we have to worry about it, we have to think about it, and then we have to understand the functioning of the biological clock as well. So there are three aspects of our lifestyle as we all know, about our food, about our exercise, and also about the sleep. So these are three pillars of our health. But this was a survey, and people are very much keen about their calorie intake, their exercise schedule, but they are not aware about their sleep. So we just take granted for the sleep, and we think that this is the best of matter. So sleep deprivation is very much a concern in the modern society, which is the root cause of circadian dysfunction or the disruption of the biological clock. In Ayurveda also, that we are going to see afterwards, that it is mentioned that these three are the pillars of our health, that is Ahar, Vihara, Nidra, as mentioned in the Ayurvedic scripts. So sleep is very much important aspect of our lifestyle, and 1/3 of our life we spend in sleeping, but we are really not aware about the sleep as such much. This is the sleep foundation table that they have mentioned what is the optimal time that we should sleep, and we can just check ourselves whether we are sleeping that much, and obviously in the night time, not the daytime or the weekends. So this is very nice saying by one of the scientists working in the field of sleep, that your life is a reflection of how you sleep, and how you sleep is a reflection of your life. So you can just imagine that if our sleep is not good, definitely that is a reflection that we have somehow messed up with our lifestyle. So there are various sleep disorders. I am not going to elaborate on it. There are 7 major classes of sleep disorders. One of the type of sleep disorder, that is circadian rhythm sleep disorder, which is least studied and which is directly related to the chronobiology. And if you see on the right hand side, there are various types of circadian rhythm sleep disorders, and the 2 major ones, which are the extrinsic one, that is shift work. We all are some or the other way shift workers, and the jet lag. So jet lag is not the only one. Jet lag of the time zone changes. I will just tell you there are various types of jet lags. So all these problems leads us to new set of diseases. We have tackled the pathogenic diseases like cholera, TB or plague successfully, but now these are a new set of diseases called lifestyle disorders, and there is no single pill available to tackle these disorders, because as the name goes, these are lifestyle disorders. So we have to handle our lifestyle to successfully handle these disorders. So what is the basis for all these disorders? We tackle disorders one by one. We handle, say, asthma, we handle diabetes, we handle cancer, but all, at the base of these all types of disorders, there is a disrupted clock, and the disrupted clock is overlooked. Unfortunately, even in the medical fraternity, they don't consider the basis of all lifestyle disorders as the circadian disruption. So circadian disruption can be a unifying principle behind all types of lifestyle disorders. So again, circadian disruption is caused by the single change in our sleep-wake cycle. So we all are carrying sleep debt. We are aware about the financial debt, but the sleep debt is the major one, and we all are carrying it because of our lifestyle choices. As I mentioned earlier, we know only one type of jet lag, that is chronic jet lag, but there are all other types of jet lag as well, and they are now established, like a digital jet lag that we all have now known, that many of us work in one time zone and their client is in other time zone. So that is maybe you can consider digital jet lag. Metabolic jet lag, you eat one day on the weekend and you have another kind of eating schedule on the weekdays. So that is, body cannot understand that. We cannot digest all our things on our own. We have a huge microbiota in our body. आपल्या शरीरामध्ये खूप मोठ्या प्रमाणात जीवाणू असतात, त्यांना मायक्रोबायोम असं म्हणतात. So that microbiome is responsible for the digestion. And when we change our eating pattern, that disturbs the biological clock of that microbiome, and that creates the metabolic jet lag. Obviously, last one, social jet lag. We don't have to travel to a different time zones. We just change our lifestyle, and that creates the social jet lag. So now there is a need to understand how biological clock works and to handle our lifestyle disorders. And here comes the new science that is called chronobiology. We all know that it is there. In Ayurveda is mentioning this since time immemorial about dinacharya, rutucharya. That is nothing but the chronobiology. But now we have a scientific experimental proof for all these concepts that we understand for ages. And in 1960, it is formally established as a science, because in the modern science, we need experimental proof for all these things. You must have seen in the earlier video that at the molecular level as well, now we know how this clock is maintained and regulated. Outside, we have shown the 3 scientists who got the Nobel Prize for this in 2017, and since then, it is now mainstreamed. So these are the scientists, they got Nobel Prize for understanding the molecular mechanism of circadian rhythm, how it is maintained in the at the cellular and molecular level. So there are various types of biological rhythms. Few works at seconds or minutes, few works at hours, and few works even months and years. So they are described as ultradian or circadian or infradian. Like in the second video, we have seen about the hibernation or migration. So they all are infradian. Or even the regular monthly cycles in women, they also come under infradian. So these all different types of biological rhythms, they are inherent in us. So why they are inherent? What is the necessity of all these rhythms? These were established in the body. I think this experiment I will not elaborate. This is the very well known experiment by the Russian scientist Ivan Pavlov, that the dog when saw the food, the salivation started, but when he clubbed just the ringing of the bell with that food, the salivation started even without the food. This was very well known and celebrated experiment. So this he did only for 15 days. Now just imagine, not 15 days, for the billions of years we have evolved on the rotating planet. That planet is rotating continuously and we have the day and night cycle. So just within 15 days, the dog can salivate without food, and we have these tidal cycles, day-night cycles, lunar cycles on the earth, and all species, right, from microbes to humans, they evolved on this rotating planet. And because of that, we have the evolutionary clock established in our body. And that is the evolutionary reason why we have a clock. Because this clock anticipates whatever is happening, going to happen in the future, and prepares our body for it. When we get up in the morning, it is not that randomly we start everything. Our body is preparing for the morning rituals. When we go to bed, it is not just switching off of the body. Our body is preparing for the sleeping mode. And that is called predictive homeostasis. So this predictive homeostasis is actually regulated by the body clock. There are 2 types of homeostasis. Reactive means something happened earlier and then body is rectifying it. But predictive means something is going to happen in the future and body is preparing for it. So the body clock is actually an evolutionary mechanism installed in our body for this kind of prediction, that this is going to happen and body is preparing for it. Just example, that our gastric juice will secrete when we eat at particular time always. The body is preparing for it, and then we are having the optimal level of digestion. So this is the main function of our body. I am not going to elaborate on where is the biological clock and how it functions, but now it is well known. We have an entire circadian time system in our body. Like we have a digestive system, we have an immune system, we have an excitatory system. Likewise, we have the circadian time system in our body, and it regulates by the central clock and also the peripheral clocks in our body. It is not just the timekeeper. Our clock is not just telling you it is 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, but it is actively handling, actively changing. That the example is jet lag. Depending on the external time cues, our body clock can change. And what are the parameters, what are the factors regulating the body clock? These are the three main factors. First is our food schedule, second the light exposure, and third about the exercise. This is nothing but our lifestyle. And that's why our lifestyle do matter for the functioning of biological clock. We are aware about the visual functions of eye, but eye has a non-visual function as well. So even though a person is a blind, his or her body clock can work because there is another protein in our eye called melanopsin, and it has a directly link to the body clock in the brain, and that tells our brain that whether it is a day or night. And that's why the blue light, which is very much making the havoc, because melanopsin is sensitive to blue light. When there is a blue light, the melanopsin thinks that is a daytime, and then we all are experiencing the insomnia, because when we have this kind of screens in front of us after the sunset, then the body thinks that it is still the daytime, and when we feel sleepy, then we have the melatonin secretion, that is the master hormone, that is the important hormone in our body that tells us now it is time to go to bed. But the blue light suppresses melatonin, and then we having the problem falling asleep. So that is the main reason why our sleep-wake cycle is disturbed. There are other factors as well. Our eating pattern is also regulated. As I mentioned, the microbiome has the main role in it. That also having the circadian clock, and that regulates our biological clock as well. So our entire lifestyle now is heading towards the circadian disruption. The circadian fitness, that is what is recommended by our forefathers, लवकर झोपावे, लवकर उठावे, आपण जे नेहमी ऐकलेलं आहे. तर that is now we actually heading towards the circadian disruption because of having available all types of services 24/7. So we have 24/7 services, and that is the comfort that is taking the toll on our health. There are various strategies available to restore that circadian time system, and people are working and trying to get the experimental proofs for that as well. So these are the different strategies, and we can club that into 4 groups. First is circadian lifestyle management, that we are focusing as a ChronoPrakriti, that I will maybe sometime, if time permits, I can elaborate on it. Second, cognitive behavioral therapy, where more about the psychological aspect. Third, chronomedicine, and fourth, chronotherapy. That is the last resort. We have to use some kind of drugs to restore your time system. But generally, the first two, circadian lifestyle management and the behavioral therapy, should be sufficient to restore your time system. So, how to do that? So, we have to think about the chrono diet, we have to think about the chrono exercise, and we have to think about the chrono light. So all these 3 parameters, which is discussed and mentioned again and again in alternative medicines as well, that now modern medicine is coming to the same conclusion, that we have to focus on this to restore our time system. Everybody's clock is not working same. If you think that everybody's clock is same, it is not the case. Everyone has its own chronotype. That means the ChronoPrakriti is the first word, chrono, that comes from chronotype. So everyone has specific chronotype. We heard that some people are comfortable working in the morning, some people are in the evening. So depending on that, when your melatonin starts secreting, the time of melatonin secretion governs your chronotype, and that we can assess in our website that we are going to launch today. So there are various ways how people describe the chronotype using the different types of organisms, but I prefer just mentioning them either morning, afternoon or evening, and the same terminology that we are going to use in the future. So this is the summary that I just given the quick overview about the importance of biological clock and the reason why it is existed. That we have to listen, and that I think we did it during the corona time, that we gave some time to ourselves to listen to our body and see the rhythmicity of our body, and how that rhythmicity is disturbed by changing the consistent schedule, which is also mentioned in the Ashtang rhythm as well. So I think now I will stop at this point, and before going to the ChronoPrakriti, I will request Vaidya Swati madam to just enlighten about the Prakriti first, and then we will go ahead and combine in the ChronoPrakriti. Thank you.
Hello. So let's begin the concept of Prakruti. So as you all know, we will go back from the topic where Sir has ended. So health. Our main concern is health. So what is health? WHO, the World Health Organization, defines health on the basis of physical, mental as well as social well-being. It's not only that there is no disease. I don't have any disease, that means I am healthy. It's your efficiency to work. It's your maximum output, whatever you can do in your day-to-day activities. It's not just the absence of disease or infirmity, but the sense of well-being. You should feel energetic, you should feel enthusiastic for the work. Then only you are healthy. That is what modern science has defined. Then according to Ayurveda, Ayurveda says samadoshaha samadnischa samadhatu malakriya prasanna atma indriya mana swasthaiti abhidiyate. So physical health as well as mental health and spiritual health, all are equally important, and we have to balance all the aspects of life to be healthy. So Ayurveda, as all of us know, that Ayurveda is the science which focuses more on prevention, and then the curative part is there. So preventive part, which all of us are keen to know, how I can manage my own health, how I can maintain my lifestyle so that I won't fall sick repeatedly, or right now in the young age, what rules should I follow so that my elder age will be happy with less of diseases or debility. So that key factor of Ayurveda is very important, preventive aspect. Swasthya Rakshana is the important concept of Ayurveda. So as seen in the definition, Ayurveda is evolved around 3 doshas. The 3 basic constituents, although they are called doshas, they are the necessary factors in our body. They are vata, pitta and kapha. The 3 principles that govern our body. Each one has its own properties which are essential for the body. No one is good or no one is bad. Like vata is bad or kapha is good or bad. It's not like that. Every single one has its properties, and each property is important. So Vata is essentially for all the movements in the body, all our actions in the body. So dynamism is the key aspect of Vata. Then Pitta is responsible for digestion, for metabolism. Whatever we eat, convert it into energy. Similarly, on the level of mind, whatever we gain knowledge, we have to transform it and use it. So that kind of work is done by Pitta. And then Kapha. Kapha is kind of lubricating or cohesive, that it binds the particles or things together. So every one is important. Excess of Vata will create more of dryness, more of activity. A person who is continuously active, we can't tolerate that. So we need Kapha to balance that Vata. A person who is continuously active in the sense of brain, continuously engaged in thoughts or brain work, that is also not good. He needs to relax. So one dosha is there to balance the other. So we need to find out the balance between all three of them. So now each person is different. Every individual is different. So for this balance, you have to know what is your basic constitution, what is your Prakruti, and then we will know how to balance it. The ways to maintain the Prakruti and the ways to balance it. Okay. Then similarly on the mind level, three gunas are there: Sattva, Raja and Tama. Those three factors decide our mindset. So Sattva is tranquility or lightness or knowledge. Then Rajas is dynamism again, and Tamas is inertia or stagnation. Again, same way, all three are important. We can't deny anyone's importance. So coming to Prakruti, the basis of Prakruti is formed on these six factors: three doshas of mind and three doshas of body. So Prakruti, as we have seen, it's the is source of origin and Kriti is to form. So Prakruti is our original form. So one must know our original form, then we can go further. So what Ayurveda defines about Prakruti is Prakruti hi nama janma maranantarala bhavini. So it starts from your birth. Birth means garbhavakranti samaye, means whenever you are formed from the cells in the mother's womb. At that time, whichever dosha is dominant, Vat, Pitta, Kapha, usually not single one is there. So there is combination Vata, Pitta, Pitta, Kapha, Kapha, Vata. So according to that combination will decide your Prakruti. So it's there from, we can say, before your birth, and it will be there, the combination will be fixed till your death. So that is mentioned that Janma Maranantarala Bhavini. Whole of your life the Prakruti is going to be same. That is your Mula Prakruti. Okay? And the reason behind it is there is no reason. Swa Karana Udreka Janita. So the situation, the atmosphere in the mother's womb, there are many factors like mother's constitution, her diet, or the surrounding situations. They are the factors, but it's not defined that it will be 100% same. Like mother is of Pitta Prakruti, father is of Pitta Prakruti, so it's not that the child will be of Pitta Prakruti. So there might be variation, and that variation we can't define. And another important word is Nirvikarini. So the Mula Prakruti, which is formed at the time of birth, before the time of birth, is never going to change. So we have to manage our lifestyle, our diet, our exercise schedule, our even work schedule according to your Mula Prakruti. That will be helpful to for a healthy life. Then about the types of Prakruti. So Prakruti types according to doshas. Sharira Prakruti is of 7 types. Vata Prakruti, the predominance of Vata, Kapha Pitta are on lower side. Same way, Pitta Prakruti is there, Kapha Prakruti is there. When 2 doshas are dominant, then Vata Pitta Prakruti, then Vata Kapha Prakruti, and Kapha Pitta Prakruti, and 3 doshas, Vata Pitta Kapha Prakruti, that is 3 doshas Prakruti. So these are the 7 basic types of Prakruti according to Ayurveda. Same way, Manas Prakruti is Sattva, Raja, Tama. Again, there will be predominance. It's not that there will be absence of the other doshas. Like Sattva Prakruti, Rajas and Tamas will not be dominant, but they will be there. Again, then there are different types of Prakruti which we need to mention, that is Jati Prasakta, like the community where we have some family traits. So those are included in Jati Prasakta Prakruti. Like if we have seen the Chinese or Korean people, they have a typical face. Their body is made up for that kind of body structure, that height, and their same way inner body also. Their digestion will be for same. That will be for their diet. Indian people, our digestion, our body is made for our kind of living. Then Kula Prasakta, same way Kula Prasakta is also there. Then Deshanupatini, the area where we live also affects. So you must have observed that simple, for example, take Pune and Mumbai, the weather is different. Some people feel that change in weather. Whenever I'm in Pune, I feel more fresh. Whenever I'm in Mumbai, I feel some slight illness or something, or other way. Same way, now the Desh is not limited up to this. We are global citizens, so the Desh where you are living and the Prakruti you are made. You are Indian, and if you are living on the different climate zone, then also your Prakruti is going to be affected. So that adjustments also you need to know. Then Vayonupatini. So there are different ages, and according to age also there is predominance of doshas. In Balavaya, that is Balyavastha, that is up to 10-15 years, Kapha dominance is there. So whatever your Prakruti might be, the child's Prakruti might be, we know that children are prone to Kapha diseases like cold and cough. They catch easily, they have fever in every season change. That is due to this Vayonupatini Prakruti. In after say 20s to 40, 35 to 40, that age is Pitta dominant. Madhyam Vay is Pitta dominant. So a person with Pitta Prakruti will face more of acidity or Pitta problems in that phase. Okay, so that concept you have to understand. So that phase you have to manage. It's not that everyone, the person with Kapha Prakruti won't have that kind of troubles, though he is in the Pitta period. That will be lesser. Again, the person with Vata Prakruti will suffer in later ages like arthritis and all those things. Same way, there is variation in hormones also, because now we have seen the biological clock. So there is correlation in the biological clock, like arthritis flares up in the evening. So that is Vata dosha predominance period. So arthritis flares up. So for Vata Prakruti, adding up the Vata period, adding up the Vatakar diet will increase the disease. If you maintain the diet and rest or preventive measures like steam or applying oil, then the problems will be less. The intensity of pain will be less. So all these types we must consider for our well-being. So how to know your Prakruti? Ayurveda has described it on multiple levels, and very minute observations they have proposed 5,000 years ago, which match till date. Like body frame, Vata Prakruti person is typically thin, Pitta Prakruti person has a medium body, Kapha Prakruti is slightly plumpy or fat. Same way, eyes color is blackish for Vata, reddish or light brownish for Pitta. Then Kapha is the white color of eye, it will be more white, clear white. Same way on the basis of skin, complexion, even your appetite, thirst, everything they have defined the Prakruti, which you can see. Even on mental level, like grasping or your rag, anger control, all these parameters have been described in the text. So studying those parameters, you can surely know your Prakruti. Then why you should know your Prakruti? That is the most important aspect. So if you know your Prakruti with the format, then you will be able to maintain your own health or the state of well-being. How? So you can see the circadian rhythm of doshas in the circle. So the 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. is the Kapha card, where you need to have you need to be awake, you need to have some warm water in the morning. This is the time for exercise to remove the excess of kapha. So your dinacharya or daily regime should be according to this circadian rhythm, according to this biological clock of the doshas. Then pitta, this is for everyone. So pitta is dominant between 10 am to 2 pm. So thinking or high metabolic actions should be done in this period, or your diet, main food or in the day should be in this period. So if you eat after 2 pm, whatever you eat will be converted into more of acidic food, which will not be good for your health in terms of nutrition. It won't give you that much strength as much as if you eat it on time. So following the clock of doshas is must. Then Vatakal is between 2 to 4 pm. Again the cycle, 6 pm. Again the cycle goes repeating Kapha, Pitta and Vata. So you need to follow the circadian rhythm of doshas. Again the sleep pattern also, as sir has mentioned, it's most important thing. Sleeping on time and relaxation, it is detoxifying for our body. So that period also is important. If you sleep from 2 am to 10 am and then you are saying that I am having 8 hours sleep, yet you won't be healthy because of this circadian clock. So these things you must know. So knowing your Prakruti type, you will know what you should eat. Like Vata Prakruti people should eat more of, Vata has the property of dryness. Vata is ruksha, movement is there. So to balance that, you will need to have some oily, means good quantity of oil or ghee in your diet. Whereas in Kapha Prakruti, you have to take it in lesser quantity. You need to have some digestive like adrak or masala things more in quantity, which pitta people will need to avoid, like mire or ala, simple things we have in our masala that pitta will stimulate, pitta people need to avoid. So your diet should be according to your Prakruti, so that maximum diseases will be controlled. Then how much quantity you should eat, that is also mentioned in this text, that Pitta Prakruti people need to have small meals, but they need to have multiple times. Whereas Kapha Prakruti, there is slow digestion, so they can have 2-3 meals and that is sufficient for them. Vata Prakruti people, they have habit of eating small bits continuously, but that won't increase their weight or that won't cause that much trouble for them. So you must know your Prakruti and then your diet should be planned. Then again avoid eating, as I said, paneer and cheese and everything. We plan it for a group whole, but you must know how much quantity you should eat. Like modern diet concepts also, 50 grams paneer for each one. It's not like that. We can't fix everyone in the same box. Each body is different, so that difference of your body is defined by your Prakruti. So if my digestion, if I am of Kapha Prakruti, 10 gram paneer for Kapha Prakruti and 50 gram paneer for Pitta Prakruti will have almost the same effects, because my Kapha Prakruti metabolism will be slow, Pitta Prakruti metabolism will be fast. So you have to judge on individual basis. That is the importance of it. Then again, your sleep pattern also you have to plan accordingly. Even your work pattern. Pitta Prakruti people are usually very workaholic. So they are active, Pitta Vata combination typically. They are active and workaholic. So they need to learn to cool down. So for them meditation and all those practices, or Ayurveda prescribes massage or Shirodhara, those kind of things which make you relax, you should take them frequently. Again, precautions during season changes also, because every season change, there is change in our digestion. Agni, what is digestive fire we call. So that Agni changes, because in winter we have a cool atmosphere outside, so the heat is inside, so our body needs more food. While in summer, now we feel that more of thirst, so less of appetite. So again, that will be different for each individual. So you must know your Prakriti, and then your diet should be planned and the things you should avoid so that there is no imbalance of doshas. Diseases are formed because of the imbalance of doshas. Once you know how to balance your doshas, then there won't be any diseases. If at all they are there, they will be in the milder stage. So that you need to know about your Prakruti. Okay, so Prakruti helps you to balance your well-being, to maintain your state of well-being. So it is must concept. It is also for your treatment kind of thing, like arthritis, or even as a consulting physician, we need to know your Prakruti. We can't, like crocin is for everyone's temperature or fever. So in Ayurveda, there are different medicines for each type of Prakruti, for fever also. So accordingly, each person needs to be treated differently, and Prakruti is the criteria which defines the groups. So for personal use, you have to maintain the health. To stay healthy, you must know your Prakruti, and then only you can have a healthy living. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Swati. Both speakers have made us basic knowledge at least about chronobiology. For layman, it's very difficult to understand what is chronobiology and Ayurveda as well. So now we have understood about chronobiology and Prakruti, means Ayurveda perspective. So we will know more about synthesis of both from Dr. Prashant Duraphe again. So please.
Okay, so I think we are running short of time, so we have to just see that we should give some time to our chief guest as well to speak his thoughts. So I would make it short and tell you about the synthesis of both chronobiology and Ayurveda. So now you know that the basis of chronoprakriti, that is chronotype and prakriti type. This is how the chronoprakriti type that we would like to assess for everyone to give their recommendations. So we have proposed that 9 combinations for chronoprakriti: the morning, afternoon and evening, and like we have the vata pitta kapha that changes for this 24 hours. And now, as I mentioned, for this management, instead of just chrono diet, now we are proposing chronoprakriti diet, chronoprakriti exercise and chronoprakriti light. So for that we have incepted this entity. Obviously the force behind this incorporation is Mrs. Amruta Tikhe, and that's why this entity is here. And we are proposed that the services with this entity, as mentioned in this vision and mission, we would like to work in the human chronobiology and to understand the circadian disruption and provide the possible amendments, obviously without any medication, just by the lifestyle changes. So we got this recognition by Government of India as a startup in the field of health and wellness. So we propose these 2 types of innovations, and on that basis we got this startup recognition. The process innovation is ChronoPrakriti workshops and wellness program, and the product innovation, that is, you must have seen outside, the breath meter for nasal cycle measurement assessment, that the nasal cycle that we breathe from individual nostril, that is one kind of circadian rhythm, and based on that assessment we can find out your circadian disruption. as already introduced the directors of the company, and also we have our advisory board, and from that advisory board many people are over here, so I welcome them. Dr. Meenal Joshi is here. Mrs. Manjua Savardekar is also here. I think she left for some other function. Vaidya Dr. Sandeep Khandalikar, I think he is not there. Vaidya Dr. Ranjit Nimbalkar is here. He is here. He is with us right from beginning, and he has given a lot of inputs for formulation of Prakruti questionnaire that we have designed for as an online tool. Vaidya Swati Rane recently joined us, and I wish that she will be with us in future as well. Dr. Amesh Shirolkar is developing a metabolomic marker for us. So what we are doing research basically is to finding out a particular marker. Like for the Prakruti, you must have seen that you have to find out with the questionnaire what is your Prakruti. We are trying to find out just like a blood test. If you give the blood and finding out your Prakruti. So that kind of understanding that Dr. Amesh Shirolkar is working out. His PhD project is on that a particular Prakruti has a particular metabolite. Metabolite means actually what is we synthesize, we do the metabolism and particular product is coming out of it. That is specific for specific Prakruti. So whether we can do that. And obviously Amruta Tikhe is also on the advisory board. So technical support team is there. Mr. Aniruddha Gole, he is right from beginning, he did the code for us to analyze the Prakruti and chronotype forms. Now it is embedded. Ms. Nikhila Kulkarni is here. She is my student and she is working on different aspects of sleep problems and also on the bipolar disorder. She is also in technical support team. And Ms. Navneet Tawar, recently she is not here, I guess. So these are the services that we propose from this company. Primarily understanding your chronoprakriti, understanding your sleep and your breath, because breath is the connection between your mind and body. Whenever something changes in your mind, first change in your breath. So there are various aspects of your breath that is elaborately mentioned in the branch of yoga called Swara Yoga. So in Swara Yoga it is elaborately mentioned about your breathing pattern, and we want to capture that with the help of sensor, and our chief guest has his expertise in sensor, and he is going to help us to make that sensor a reality in future. So we are going to launch our website right now, which is developed by Team Jyotirgamaya. I think Prashant Ji Pathak is here from the company that they have developed this site very well, and I'm sure that all these services that we have proposed that you can avail on this website. So I think now we can launch this website by the hands of our chief guest today, and then he can keep his thoughts in front of us.
So here it comes, the most awaited moment for which we have gathered here, the website launch of ChronoPrakriti Pvt Limited in the hands of our chief guest, Mr. Gautam More. So sir, please come on stage.
Right. So, good evening, everyone. I am aware of a strict timeline that we have. So, So I'll take probably 10 minutes one of the reason that I could probably be the chief guest here is after our entire discourse on what has been the traditional knowledge, what has been the medical aspect of these things. The ultimate thing that actually makes it all tangible and measurable is the engineering part. So here I am actually after a certified doctor, after a PhD, doing his research, and then you have an engineer. Okay, so this is actually the basis of all modern medicine going forward. Okay, and more so because all our ancient knowledge was actually not paired with this kind of engineering proof, which is why we always had a skepticism about its efficiency and its efficacy. Of late, thankfully, there is great impetus given to the fact that we had been much more advanced in our knowledge about the human body as Indians, as all our Sanskrit texts, and I think Dr. Duraphe is actually an expert in even the Sanskrit text. He has a greater understanding of what it really means rather than what it implicitly just looks at in standard translation. And what you see is that over the years, all our the whole system of Ayurveda actually profiled the human body, and in the context of the Indian subcontinent. Okay, so right from the north to the south, you have Vaidyas, right? So people who had one system of medicine and who actually probably referred to the same text all throughout. So what it did was create a very clear insight on the body type that the Indian subcontinent has. Okay, so we are different from Europeans, we are different from Americans, yet unfortunately medical science is now treating an Indian with something that has been proven for a European or for an American. And we've seen recently, so many in the COVID, it was your most eye-opening because everybody had eyes and ears stuck to what medical science tries to decipher about COVID, what's really happening. Because, in centuries there was no such disease that could perplex Western medicine. And eventually you found out that, there's no medical, as we call aushad for this kind of disease. And all you have to do is take precautions and essentially keeping your nasal cavities clean, keeping your body free of comorbidities. Like it was very clear that people with diabetes have a greater risk of these things. And it was always known that people with diabetes should actually follow a strict regimen when it comes to diet, when it comes to sleep, when it comes to actual discipline. And nobody is saying that this was not there earlier. I mean, this is what our texts followed. And what we also found out, is that a hospital is for pretty much the end game. Most of us didn't really need to go to the hospital. We were treated at home. The home is actually where our health actually resided. Most of the people recovered fully at home. Okay, and those were the people who actually took great steps or had kept a body that was somehow, very aligned to a good circadian rhythm. And that was actually reflecting in their health. That is why the body could actually take on an infection, fight it correctly, and then of course come out of it as easily. So you might have known of many people who probably didn't have any symptoms, mild symptoms, recovered fully, and they hale and hearty. Whereas on the other part, you had people comorbid and who could not really, their body could not cope up. And then once they entered a hospital, actually most of it, was spiral. It went downward because the doctors there didn't have enough evidence to actually how to treat each patient coming in. So would remdesivir work? Would anything else work? So it was all shooting in the dark, right? So what I will say is that Western medicine so far has been reactive medicine. What is seen in front of it, it actually tries to treat, and that too on the basis of a large data set that has been meticulously gathered and presented to the world, which is called as evidence, and which is becoming more and more believable. Okay, so simply because it was gathered over 100 years now. You have texts that clinical trials that have been done even 70 years, 80 years earlier. So it becomes believable. However, all that belief could not turn into reality. So there was no real antidote to a certain virus that comes in, and that has slightly shaken our entire understanding of the human body. Okay, so right now, almost all of us in the audience are very, very oriented to challenge a doctor, right, or not believe a doctor fully. Okay, all of us would like to see what is the alternative route to what he is writing as a prescription, right? So I'm pretty sure everybody is nodding their head. So this has become what is going to be the future of our understanding of medicine. You might have seen one of the the standees outside that talked about personalized medicine. So what is this personalized medicine? Personalized medicine is actually what the Ayurvedic way of medicine was always prophesizing, that each person, and this is what they have been profiling. This is a profile of who you are, not who you are as a country or who you are as a state, but it's actually who you are as an individual. What is the group set of atoms that are making you, and what kind of creates you, and what will work best for you, right? So this has been a mainstay that people need to build up, and you've seen, and luckily we have distinguished people like researchers like Dr. Duraphe who are actually coordinating this knowledge from the ancient past. He's gone out to a Western country, done his PhD there, and then come back here and try to practice or put this into application, right? So all of this creates greater base for what is going to be a future of understanding the human body better and better, and also treating it much before time. So one of the things that I can clearly see, is that unless experiments like these are done, right? So he would have remained as a distinguished researcher. Most of professors actually have an intuition to publish research, but unless it's in my view as an engineer that unless you have research that is applied to human beings or to your fellow men for betterment, that research is much as less like a book research. It's more academic. So I am extremely happy that somebody of his background is actually taking a step towards making this into a company as such, but more than that, creating an application of the research and understanding that is there. Now, coming to how our minds beat really as an engineer. Okay, so one of the things is, I have been, what is going to be the future of medical device, medical medicine? All of their understanding is based on interviews or what they ask as questions to somebody who's coming to them, and then based on the responses, try to feed it into your overall understanding and try to look at what would serve best. Okay, and this has a trial and error approach as well. And with more experience like his, the errors are less, but the trials have to be an open-minded thing. So it can't be like a silver bullet that today they tell something about you, and next day it will immediately get into it'll solve your problem. So what it brings to is the sleep and all needs to be recorded somewhere, right? So unless there is a record, they are mostly basing your entire approach to solving your problem on what you are telling them. Now, for example, if you don't tell your entire story to somebody like him, to a doctor or to a Vaidya, it derails their entire understanding, right? Because they have to have your true honest inputs, because that has been the ancient system of medicine, that it's their diagnosis. Okay, so diagnosis is based on what they are hearing from you. Of course, over a period of time, they are trained to actually look at various aspects of bringing the truth out by talking differently, by asking questions, cornering you, and of course looking at your response type. Are you quick to respond that? So a lot of things. There are other things that then Ayurveda evolved, like the Nadi Pariksha, or like he's saying, the breath analysis. Now here is a time where we should all quantify this, okay, and this is where the engineering aspect comes in. Who will measure your sleep when you are actually sleeping, right? So sleep has probably 5 different stages. Now this has been pretty well, and much of Western medicine has been great at actually bringing out different aspects of physiology, on which physiology is of course our physique and the autonomous functions and things like that. And but they have actually at least brought out the science that our beautiful human body is made of. It's a purely engineered marvel, our India. So they're saying that we can start measuring stuff that is of interest to each particular approach that is happening for most of us. So where do I come from? See, for the last, since I've been here or since I left home, I've been actually wearing a medical device, right? And probably none of you would even, from when you're seeing me, you don't even know that I'm wearing a medical device. But let me just show it to you. This is the patch that I'm wearing, right? Now this patch is wirelessly connected to my to an app, the mobile phone, right? And this patch is continually sending 10 readings per second of the body temperature, the skin temperature. It is sending about 20 data points per minute about my activity right now. And going forward, it can actually do what has been my heart rate, when I'm talking, and how that kind of is not just keep sending it to this mobile phone. And I'm telling you, this is a live working patch. So I've worn it just to, because that's the way I've actually built products, is actually being part of the product itself, right? And is it good to wear? Yeah. I mean, none of you could even say that I was wearing something, right? So in one of the things is that it actually does activity tracking. It's actually a second level actigraph. And what happens here is second by second analysis of your sleep would be transmitted to the mobile phone and there on to a cloud. And there's just lack of time. But what you get for him, for their analysis, is a comprehensive minute by minute report of the entire night. So 8 hours, roughly 8 to 10,000 readings. So basically, if you're twisting, turning, what has been your deep sleep, your rapid eye movement sleep, your lighter sleep, what has been the quality of your sleep, when have you actually fallen asleep? So you might tell the doctor, I always sleep at 11 o'clock. But you're actually, just on the bed at 11 o'clock. You're probably sleeping at 12:30, right? So all of this is, it makes their medicine more accurate. It's not that they don't want to believe you, but if you're not going to tell them the honest truth, or simply that, are you sleeping healthily? Are you enjoying your sleep? You would just say yes, because you wake up early and there is a slight heaviness in your head, but you would say, okay, that's normal. That's been happening for a long time. So that all actually, this is like keeping their eyes on you and then automatically helping them to evolve this kind of, their diagnosis on a much better scale. And what we feel forward going is, like he said, the respiration. So there's no rocket science here. I mean, I'm a true Puneite, so I have not been to the US or anywhere else. All this has been developed in Pune. So going forward, all of this is still going to be developed in Pune, like his respiration sensor. We can actually, and that's a beautiful insight that he's got, that with most people having problems, you might end up breathing with just one nostril, okay, or it could be either nostril. Either nostril becomes more dominant in your sleep when you are there, and that itself could be a marker for something that's going to happen. That's not good or going to happen. Now, who would have thought? That this there is a thought. But unless you are not going to measure your sleep or which nostril you're breathing from when you're sleeping. So unfortunately, this disconnect existed, but now it's simpler. We definitely are going to develop a sensor that can be easily worn as easily as this, and which is wirelessly just going to transmit all the data, record all the data. What you saw, of course, was a prototype that we didn't design. So this is from his earlier research. So it can't be that big, definitely. It has to be as small as what I am bearing. Another aspect I'll tell you, I mean, one of our major this product actually is oriented for menstrual or ovulation tracking. Okay, you wouldn't imagine the amount of problems people are facing, the women are facing in terms of ovulation. Their ovulation cycles becoming unbalanced, and all of it is actually very much related to the circadian rhythm, right? So a lot of the younger fraternity or even the older ones, have been having problems with their circadian rhythm, which has now then, as it grows chronic and then acute, it has resulted in ovulation cycles getting disrupted. Okay, and this has become pretty much like, we have a survey of about 30,000 people in the rural part of Maharashtra, Latur, Usmanabad. About 50% have agreed to the fact that they are facing a problem, related to their menstrual line. Okay, so we've not gone down to second levels, but they are pretty aware that this is a problem that they are facing, and they would like to have help around this. So it's going for, and Western medicine is not going to address this for us, not because this is truly our problem and we've got to solve it with our solutions. We've got to team up with people like Dr. Duraphe, the engineering, and overall all the Vaidyas, and coming together and trying to establish a certain, and we could do it step by step, that, okay, this particular disease has been now marked by this particular pattern in the sleep or in the circadian rhythm. So that's all, it's a step by step thing. It might evolve over 5 years, 10 years, but this is the future of, medicine truly as we want it to be, with no chemical intervention. Like he said, the chemical intervention is the last thing that somebody would want, and all of us are in this room do want that. We don't want to have that pharma pill in our body because of so many close relatives, fathers, mothers, sisters, showing the effects of taking long-term medicine. So everybody is kind of keeping arm's length distance and trying to do this. So conclusively, I would say that all the start of such beginnings are also the start of the new era of medicine. Pune actually is the hotbed of such kind of deep intellectual insight and the application also. And the people of Pune also accept such solutions with open minds. And I can only say that the future looks bright for us, and we should use technology like this and technology like ours to actually fuse all of our ancient knowledge and bring modern medicine and show them in effect and in what I would say in evidence in their own terms that all of this works for the betterment of humanity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all others. On behalf of ChronoPrakriti family, I deem it a great honor and privilege to propose vote of thanks on this memorable occasion. Let me first of all start by giving glory to Almighty God for making today's occasion as a success. A special thanks to the chief guest, Gautam sir, who despite of his busy schedule found time to grace this occasion. Thank you, sir, for your encouraging words during your speech. My heartfelt thanks to Vaidya Swati Rahane, guest speaker of today's function. Thank you, madam, for insight during your presentation. Many thanks to CA Yogesh Dikshit, auditors of ChronoPrakriti, for his valuable contribution, guidance, and encouragement in all our efforts. I owe special gratitude to Mr. Sudhir Singh of Jyotirgamaya, who has designed such a creative and responsive website. I thank all students and associates who have worked hard to ensure that this occasion becomes a memorable success. I thank all the distinguished invitees present here, accepting our invitation and cooperating in making this function a success. And also thank all good hearts who worked behind the screen. I declare conclusion of this program after Vande Mataram and request all of you to stand up for Vande Mataram. Thank you.
Vande Mataram Sujalam Sufalam Malayaya Shitalam Swasya Shamalam Mataram Vande Mataram Shubhra Jyotsna Pulakitayamini Fulla Kusumital Drumadana Shobhini Suhasini Sumadura Bhashini Sukhalam Varadam Mataram Vande Mataram Koti Koti Kantha Kala Kala Ninada Karane Koti Koti Bhujay Dhruta Khara Karavane Ke bole ma tumiya bale Bahu bala dharine Namami tarine Ripudalavarine Mataram Vande Mataram Tumi Vidya Tumi Dharma Tumi Hriday Tumi Marma Tvam hi prana sharire Bahute Tumi ma shakti Hridaye Tumi ma bhakti Tomaraye Pratima gadi Mandire Mandire Mataram Vande Mataram Tvam hi Durga Dasha Praharana Dharini Kamala Kamala Dala Biharini Vani Vidya Daini Namami Tvam Namami Kamalam Amalam Atulam Sujalam Sufalam Mataram Vande Mataram Shamalam Saralam Susmitam Bhushitam Dharanim Bharanim Mataram Vande Mataram Vande Mataram Vande Mataram की जय।